We're just not rolling the intro?
No.
Yes, y'all. I'll have to put the intro in post. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. It is Texas Football Today, a show that's celebrating the holidays as they deserve to be celebrated by talking about brackets. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all of the places, or you'll show us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part. Support your local, mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She's Miss 305. She's Ashley Pickle.
Hi, friends. I'm really loud. Happy playoff season. I sound like a megaphone. Happy playoff season.
So I just want to... Yeah, totally agree. Those other dulcet tones you hear, because it's special today. To my left, to my far left.
And Mallory said, I don't know what to do with my hands.
She is the associate producer of Dave Campbell's Texan Live. She's the producer of Republic of Football and the producer and co-host of Women Talking Football. It's our friend Mallory Hartley. Hello, Mallory.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I did not know this was a part of the Making Predictions deal.
Oh, being on the show.
Being on the show.
Well, it's funny because it actually is like starting now. Like this is the first time.
Yeah, well, that's nice.
And sitting directly to my left, he is the assistant managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Basketball.
Hello.
And a very happy Notre Dame fan.
Yes.
Trash hoodie.
Let's go, baby.
Ishmael Johnson. Because
Clemson.
you know what they say about the Catholics?
Back on top.
Back on top.
We're back on, baby.
Today
given them
is
too
a
much
very
power.
special day here. Today's Monday, November 7th, 2022. 17 days until Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to former QPR great Rio Ferdinand. Episode 1492. Folks, the playoffs are here. It's playoff season in Texas high school football, and so we're going to blow it out. You can find all the brackets at texasfootball.com/playoffs, all the brackets, all the pairings. And today is the Texas Football Today Texas high school football playoff prediction special. What we're going to do is we're going to go through every bracket, all 12 of them. We're going to lay out our picks because all four of us, plus Matt Stepp, who cannot be here today because he's out of country, we made picks for each region and each state champion. Mallory has come up to me and said, I know I got every one of these exactly right.
That is true. That did happen this morning.
Yeah,
so.
Grabbed me by the collar and threw me against the wall and said, listen. So we're going to run through each and every bracket, going from smallest to largest, coming up here in just a moment. But first, do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was, hey, Meese is back. Welcome back, Meese.
Whoa!
Chase Burnett, Mac McSpadden, and Ed McElroy. Welcome in, friends. Good to have everybody back.
Welcome in, friends. Happy holidays. It's the Texas high school football playoffs, and there's a lot to get to. So we are going to go bracket by bracket, talking about our playoff predictions and kind of breaking them down. Now, Pickle has seen these because she had to put them in the show. You've seen them. I have seen them because I made the graphics. These two dorks have not seen them. So they're going to get...
You're going to get instant reaction.
Instant reaction.
I know one of Matt Stepp's predictions.
I said that to you.
very upset at.
You're very upset about.
So we'll get to that, though.
We'll get to that in just a moment. But we are going to go smallest to largest, so we're going to start in 1A Division 2. Now, we've got three very special guest pickers to alongside me for these predictions in six-man. Bobby Brown from Texas 1A fan, as well as Lehman Saunders, longtime six-man guru, as well as Craig Sperry from the Happy Sports Network. Bobby and I should promote Bobby and Craig do a podcast called the Backroads Podcast, and it is very good. If you're a six-man football 1A or a 1A fan, you would like that. Anyway, we are all in lockstep with Balmorhea in Region 1, Benjamin in Region 2, and Cherokee in Region 4, but there's some different opinions in Region 3. Bobby is taking Oglesby in Region 3. Lehman is taking Oakwood in Region 3. And Craig and I are in lockstep with Bluffdale, going with the Bobcats there. We've got some mix-ups in the state champions as well. Bobby is taking Balmorhea to win the state championship. Lehman is taking the Indians of Cherokee, while Craig and I are taking Benjamin to win their first state championship. So that's what we have right now there in 1A Division 2. The six-man ranks, we, of course, have all the brackets at texasfootball.com/playoffs. So go check that out. We've got brackets, we've got pairings, we've got everything that you need for the Texas high school football playoffs. On to 1A Division 1 now. 1A Division 1 is a lot more in lockstep, more or less. Region 1, all of us like Happy. The Cowboys of Happy are our pick in Region 1. Region 2, all of us are taking Westbrook, which is a little surprising considering how deep I think that Region 2 is, but I think we all like what Westbrook and the path they've walked to get there. Region 3, the Abbott Panthers, the number 1 team in the state of Texas in 1A Division 1, all get the nod in Region 3 from the 4 experts, 3 experts and me. And in Region 4, there's a little bit of mix-up, or not mix-up, but rather debate as to how those things break down. Bobby and Craig are taking May. Lehman and I are taking Jonesboro. That would be a district rematch rather between those two teams. But in the state champion, as far as state champions are concerned, Bobby, Lehman, and myself are taking Abbott, while Craig is going with the Westbrook Wildcats. So there you have it, the 1A Division 1 state playoff projections from our experts, Craig Sperry of the Happy Sports Network, Lehman Saunders, and Bobby Brown of Texas 1A Fam. You can go to texasfootball.com/playoffs for all things Texas high school football playoffs.
I think that there's a viewer that's watching that really liked your state championship pick there. I don't know, Terrell Crawford or something.
No, Terrell and Crawford are two different football teams.
Mm-hmm.
What do you?
It's a human.
Anyway, okay, so now you guys don't make the 6-man predictions because we turn to the experts for those.
Sure.
We are now to the.
Not disagreeing.
I was going to say, yeah. I will hear I'll hear arguments to the contrary, Mallory. Yeah. So now we're going to get into the 11-man game. We're going to start with 2A Division 2. Let's go to the predictions, okay? Here's what we got. A lot of us are, first of all, I think the headline here is that all of us are picking Mart to win the state championship. Is that correct, folks?
Yeah.
All of us like the Mart Panthers. They look like, and so, by the way, we all picked them to win Region 3 as well.
Yes, I think we did our the bracketology videos before we did this. This feels like a year that's kind of getting back to form, right? Mart's been absent. I mean, they made the state title a couple years ago, but lost. This feels like turning to get back to what we're used to, which is Mart kind of running the table more or less in 282.
They're also outscoring opponents 556 to 55.
That seems
they're just playing complementary football.
Decent.
I mean,
The math do be mathin'.
Math do be math. Mart looks like the best team. They're the number 1 team in the state for a reason. Region 1, we all like Wellington. We've all got Wellington to win Region 1, which I think is a little. What are you doing?
There we go.
There's our other picks.
We all like Wellington in Region 1, and Region 1 does feel like there's a couple of landmines potentially for the Skyrockets, but they do feel like the best team in Region 1, and I think that feels like the overall just the headline there.
Yeah, they've been kind of on the cusp of breaking through. It feels like every year, right? We feel like it's going to be the year where they come out of Region 1, they potentially make a push towards AT&T. I think this is their best opportunity to. I feel that. Yeah, it's a gut feeling, but I feel like it is probably their best team in a while.
I think maybe Vega is maybe the second best team in that region or something like that, but I don't know. Wellington does feel like the best team there in Region 1. Over Region 2, though, I believe we've got some interesting change-ups.
Yeah,
We're kind of split here. First time we're going to have to talk these things through. Ish, you, and Pickle are on the Albany train. We like the lines like Denny Faith to go out there and win Region 2. But Matt Stepp and Mallory Hartley, the Wink Wildcats get the nod in Region 2, Mallory.
Yeah, I just don't think that if you're taking a look at Region 2, I just don't think that there is a team out there that can defeat Wink. I mean, I know you picked Albany in that sense, but they're 10-0. I think Cannon Gibson is playing inspired football on both sides of the ball there. I just don't think there's anyone that's going to be stopping Wink.
I mean, the argument for Wink is pretty easy to make, which is they got Cannon Gibson, and that offense is a flamethrower.
It's very good.
That's basically
I honestly think between these two, this was out of all of the brackets, this was one of the toughest picks that I had to make between those two because I could totally see the argument either
absolutely.
way.
Right.
I think Albany's a little bit more physical.
That's probably where it ends up going. I think I trust their defense a little bit more, which is probably why they get the nod. But I mean, we're talking razor's edge type stuff there. Right. We talked about Region 3 with Mart, and then down in Region 4, all of us here in the studio. Hey guys, high fives!
Good job, go
good
team!
Job.
Around.
High fives all around. The Chilton Pirates get the nod there, but Matt Stepp, our Canadian friend,
had to be different.
Going with the Burton Panthers. Now look, Burton is an interesting team because they started off super slow.
Sure.
But they got the wheels back on in district play. I just think Chilton my thought on the matter is I think Chilton is the best team from the best district in that region. And so as a result, I think that they're the most battle-tested team.
Well, and the crazy part about that is we'll likely get that matchup between those two teams in the regional semis. So we're
Yes.
going to have probably that region figured out
That'll be exciting.
during that game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll have our bracketology video coming out here a little bit later to kind of break down the region. But as we were kind of talking about, that top half of the region for Region 4 does feel like kind of the dirty side of the bracket. And so
I get Steps' pick with Burton
Yeah.
as well, because like this is probably their best team since that D Winters team from a couple years ago, where they were probably. I feel like they probably, I don't want to say underachieved, but they probably didn't reach the heights that they thought they would with that kind of talent. This is definitely their best shot since then. So it didn't surprise me that, he sees a potential there.
I mean, and they've been, look, they've been the more consistent team out of Region 4, right? Like, if it's not going to be Falls City, which was the team that made it to a state championship game last year, and I think all of us kind of agree that this is not that kind of vintage Beavers team, and they've got a real tough first-round matchup with Bremond. If it's not them, then it's like you're going to have a new face out there, and maybe Burton has been kind of that. I don't want to say that bridesmaid, but they've been that second-place team, the team that couldn't get past Falls City. And so I think that I understand what Steph is saying. He's wrong, though.
Well, it also, what that also like makes. I mean,
Just plain and simple here.
tough but fair. But that also makes
He's
me
not here to defend
interested,
himself.
since we all
Even in the
did
country.
pick Mart. Usually we're so used to seeing
Yeah.
Mart Falls City, Mart Falls City, Mart Falls City that
Yeah.
they've always just had the playbook and they know exactly what they're going to get. So regardless, it does make me wonder if our total agreement on Mart could waver just a little bit, just because they're going to be playing someone that they're not used to playing.
Yes, absolutely. And so that is 2A Division 2, our smallest 11-man classification. All of us like Mart to win the state championship. They do feel like the best team in 2A Division 2, and certainly I would say the favorite in Region 3 for sure. We didn't talk about it, but Region 3, that does feel like there. Of course, you can find all the brackets at texasfootball.com/playoffs. Got everything you need for the 2022 Texas High School Football Playoffs. All right. It's on to 2A Division 1, where we've got some things to talk about, folks. We'll start with the big picture. All y'all like Timpson. All y'all like Timpson to win the state championship. And history tells me Region 4 is winning the title.
Sure.
We can't argue
Region
with
4
history.
has dominated Region 3. Now, of course, Timpson does have that dude. They've got Terry Bussey. But I like Refugio to win a state championship. I think that win over Shiner really proved to me that they are ready. They are ready for the big stage.
Sure, I get that. I guess for me last year, Timpson came as close to one. I think we can put that Shiner team up that past couple of years with some of the best we've seen in recent years. Timpson was very close to beating them, right?
Yeah.
With a Terry Bussey who probably was not as good as he's been playing this year. Now you have a Vosky Howard coming out for them as well. You have supporting pieces. You have the secondary, tertiary guys around Terry Bussey. I think this year, next year are potentially very special years to where we see that Region 4 streak broken potentially.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm just not fully convinced either that Refugio is going to beat Shiner again.
That's fair, too.
I mean, we talked about it on Women Talking Football, and I just
hype
don't
that
think
up. WTF.
I'm always hyping it up, But we talked about it in that first matchup. We knew that neither team was going to fully show all of their cards because we knew that they were going to meet early in that Region 4. So I just don't think that, and it's hard to beat a good team twice too. So I'm just not fully convinced that Shiner showed all their cards.
That's fair too. That's fair too.
I don't think they can do it again.
To me, what I just drive at is, it's weird. You either go with history, or you go with the Rashad Paul theory, which is
you have a
the
top
guy.
player.
You have the guy, and so therefore you're the team to beat. And I don't know if there's a wrong answer. I mean, there will be a wrong answer, but I think reasonable people can disagree on that because Timpson has looked fantastic. Now, the past couple of weeks have me a little spooked on Timpson too.
Sure, defense has not looked shut down.
Joaquin gave him a run and stuff like that. So I'm going with Refugio to win the state championship.
See, the other thing that hasn't been brought up here for Timpson in my mind is the fact that I don't think that there is a team in Region 3 that can contest against Timpson. So they should be able to go out there, kind of have their way with everybody leading up to what would be that state semifinal game against a team, either Shiner or Refugio, who just
gonna
got
get beat
done
up.
beating the hell out of each other in that regional
You're
final.
right.
So there's a little bit, you would have to beat a good team twice. Like a really good team twice to be able to get there.
So let's bounce up to Region 1. Region 1, all of us take Hawley, but and that makes me nervous because, and here's why. I think unanimity implies like dominance, and I do not think they are a runaway favorite. I think Cisco, I think Stratford. Now they don't have to face one of them because they're going to face each other probably in an area round matchup.
Sure.
But like I think Hawley's the most complete team in Region 1.
Yes.
And that's why they got their nod. But again, like I want to say it out loud. It's like just because we all agree doesn't mean we think it's a walkover.
Yeah,
No,
I agree
no.
there. Yeah.
Okay. So then Region 2, we also have a little bit of a controversy here. All y'all are on Crawford. That's fine. You know, sometimes you got to go out on your own limb, and that's what I did here. I like Toller. I like Toller a lot. Undefeated Toller, their defense has been rolling. They have given up, they've given up 20 points in all of district play. That includes against Coleman, that includes against Hamilton, that includes against Bangs. Their defense is rolling right now. Their defense has been excellent, and I think the defense travels. And I think that if they were to play Crawford, it would be like a low-scoring slugfest.
But I mean, what? Crawford's given up maybe like under 50 points. They've had one game that got into a little bit of a shootout there with 20, but their defense has held. They've blanked 7 different opponents.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Like,
their defense has been fantastic.
You want to talk about
too.
a low-scoring game if we get the 2 of those.
That's exactly
a
right.
hell of a game.
Their defense, but I think Toller is. I think people maybe sleeping on Toller. I like the Rattlers. I think that they can in a one-game situation. I think they can beat it. But Crawford is a good pick too.
I was about to say, I think when you look at both these teams and you look at their resumes, I think they're very similar in that Crawford has the win over Marlin and then Toller has the win over Coleman, right? 2 very convincing. I mean, they're close games, but they both have that. They don't have that blemish where you're saying, well, they just kind of rolled through an easy schedule. They both have those very solidifying, certifying wins over good programs.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. In Region 3, we all have Timpson. We're all in agreement there. The thing is, like, with Timpson, in my opinion, the second and third best teams in that region, they've already beaten.
Sure.
Like in some order, it's Joaquin and Beckville,
Yep.
right? In some order.
And we saw them throttle Beckville.
Now, I do think we were talking about this on the bracketology videos, which are coming out soon. I do think if Timpson were to play Beckville again, I think it would be closer.
A lot closer, yeah.
I think Beckville came out and it kind of snowballed on them.
Sure.
First game of the season, and they lost their starting quarterback.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do think that Timpson has got to be the team to beat there.
Yeah.
And then in Region 4, we do have something to talk about here.
Yeah.
WTF is rolling with the 2-time defending state champs in Shiner.
Yeah.
You think it's just hard to beat a good team twice? I presume.
Yes.
I think it's extremely hard to beat a good team twice, and I also think that you have to think about the fact, just like Mallory said, and maybe we're too bought in on this idea that Shiner did not show everything.
Maybe.
But I will say I think that Refugio up in the trenches still has the nod. Dalton Brooks has to recognize that this is my senior year. I want to get back. Here's what we're going to do and take over the game.
They have the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got.
guy.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that they have the playmaker.
Yeah.
They've got the dude that you got to stop.
And that makes a lot of difference at the 2A level, too.
Oh, 100%. Going with the 2-time defending champs is not a bad move, to be clear.
Yeah, we're
Not a bad
shocking the state over here.
I don't know. I think Refugio, the changes that they've made to that offense really make, like, watching that game, I was just like, this is a different Refugio.
I was about to say that's what Jason Herring does, right? He sees his personnel and he switches, right? We've seen him go to I formation. We've seen him go to spread. We've seen him go to this weird like single wing at times. Like every year he does this, and it feels like he's really struck something gold here. And it's kind of what makes him, in my opinion, one of the best. I mean, easily one of the best coaches in the state. That he sees his personnel changes every year, and similarly to what they're saying with Shiner not showing everything. This is still a new offense for Refugio, and I don't think they've shown all their wrinkles either.
It can go both ways, yeah.
2A Division 1 is going to be a lot of fun. I think we all kind of agree that the power is on that right side of the bracket with Region 3, Region 4.
I think regardless, whoever, if Timpson ends up doing what we think that they will coming out of Region 3, that state semifinal is going to be so stinking fun, regardless of if they're playing Shiner or Refugio.
100%. So there you have it, our 2A Division 1 predictions. You can go to texasfootball.com/playoffs for all things Texas high school football playoffs. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on texasfootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. But also on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Dave Campbell's Texas Football is proud to honor one team from each classification with the Ozarka Fueled by Nature Team of the Week Award. The teams selected throughout the course of this program have exemplified the best in Texas high school football. Your Week 11 Ozarka Fueled by Nature Teams of the Week. In 6A, Euless Trinity. Needing a... that's last
this is
week's.
the wrong graphic. All right, we're just going to have you read it.
That's fine.
then.
In 6A, Euless Trinity. Needing a win to keep their 24-year playoff streak alive, the Trojans rallied past Hearst LD Bell 27-24 in overtime to grab a postseason berth and their 25th consecutive win over their arch rival. In 5A, El Paso East Leta. Fueled by 142 yards and a score on the ground from senior running back Aerith Gomez, the Indians toppled El Paso Hanks 28-10, earning a third straight playoff berth for the first time since 2000 to 2002. In 4A, Nevada Community. With a ferocious defensive effort and a pair of touchdown passes from quarterback River Medlin, the Braves upset state-ranked Kaufman 21-14. In 3A, San Diego, R.J. Valerio gave the Vaqueros the lead in overtime, and the defense stopped a would-be game-winning two-point conversion to take down Falfurrias 23-22, clinching the number 1 seed out of District 16 3A Division 1. In 2A, Evadale, the playoffs came early for the Rebels, and they answered the call, pushing past Hull Dicetta 39-16 to earn their 17th consecutive playoff berth. In 1A, Balmaray, in a top 10 showdown with unbeaten Sanderson, the Bears proved their might with a 66-26 win to capture the district title. And in the private school ranks, the Woodlands John Cooper. The Dragons captured their second consecutive SPC 3A state championship with a dominant 63-31 win over Fort Worth Trinity Valley. So those are your Week 11 Ozarka Fueled by Nature Teams of the Week. Congratulations to all the schools. We salute you. For more information, visit texasfootball.com. Continuing with the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Today playoff prediction special. Ishmael Johnson, Mallory Hartley, Ashley Pickle. I'm Greg Tupper. We're moving on to 3A. To 3A Division 2, and now you can pull it up, guys. And you can see what we all did here.
Oh, Lord.
There is the...
Let's go, Wallhawks, baby!
Mallory is zigging when they zag. Let's start with the top line. Start with the top line. We all got Gunner.
Yes.
We all got Gunner. I got to be honest. This might be the state title pick I feel best about.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't
same
doubt
thing.
this. I don't doubt this offense every year. Say it's the best to watch, most fun.
Ethan Sloan's been incredible.
Yeah.
Mallory said I could go off the charts here because we can have fun because we all know that Gunner's the favorite.
Yeah. We don't,
I think that Gunner has to be the favorite there. They've been number 1 wire to wire. They've shown no signs of slipping. They had one game that was pretty close with Bells, and I want to say they won by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like there's a team out there that is, I don't want to say in Gunner's weight class, but like they just do seem like the class of 3A Division 2.
Sure. Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that.
Okay. So let's bounce up to Region 1. So Canadian is 30-1 in their last 31 Region 1 playoff games. And that's not enough for Mallory Hartley.
Trash.
Fantastic.
Mallory Hartley, the Wallhawks, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I mean, looking at their schedule, I think they've had a couple of pretty good wins. I think that Jim Ned win was pretty good. I know Jim Ned's not up to their normal standards as they usually
Won
are.
their district.
But I think that Jim Ned win was good. I think the Cisco loss is a little concerning just because I don't think Cisco is I think
They're
Wall
big.
is
Well, they're
better
bigger
than
than them for
Cisco.
sure. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I think that's a little concerning, but I really like this Wall defense too, led by defensive back Nathan Pepper. He's just a lockdown kind of guy. We talked about him on Women Talking Football a couple months ago, but I really like this defense, and I think that's enough to.
Their
flex
flexbone offense. Their flexbone offense is a problem. Their flexbone offense is a problem.
It's hard to study for. It's hard to get ready for.
They're dropping down from 3A Division 1. Yeah, I don't.
I was fixing to say that's the other thing. When you get into here, the drop down too, their numbers are good. Like they have good numbers compared to a Canadian team that
they have a
hurt.
lot of experience on defense too. I think
Yeah.
they got like 10 or 12 defensive starters that returned from last year.
Yeah.
So I like the experience that this defense.
They've got
table.
playoff pedigree. They are district champions certainly. I just think that Canadian owns Region 1, and until somebody
I don't disagree. I think
until
that's-
somebody beats them in Region 1, I think they've got to be the pick.
Yeah, basically, it feels like Gunner Canadian out of that side of the bracket just seems like every year is the matchup.
I don't know. I think that the second best team in that region is maybe Bells, and they've already beaten them. Maybe Holiday. Like, if you want to get on board with Holiday, their defense is pretty good. But just, like, again, with Gunner, much like Canadian, they've just been so dominant. They've won 28 straight Region 2 games.
Well, and you look at the win they had against Brock, which is a 3A Division 1 team that we're very, very high on. And when they beat them, we didn't even bat an eye. We were just like, yep, I mean, to be honest with you, that's kind of what we expected.
Yeah.
Yep.
Region 3,
Again.
4 of us like Newton. 4 of us like Newton. And I just think when you take a look at what Newton's been able to do this year, they've got that one loss on the year. It was back to Woodville, which ended up aging pretty well. It's a 3A Division 1 team. They got wins over Jasper, which has aged very well. They beat West Orange Stark, and then they rolled through their district. Their defense has been locked down. This feels like a vintage Newton team to me.
They've been absent a couple of years from AT&T, and now it feels like this is the team that's has the speed, has the overall team to kind of get back to there. But me and Mallory did see West Rusk
I think
play.
they looked really.
Let's go to Hartley Island over here.
Sure, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I do think this looks like a really good team. Yeah, they've had a couple of losses on the season so far, but playing against Mineola, I think they looked really, really good. They were able to pretty much contain Dawson Pendergrass to a really good degree.
Shout out Dawson Pendergrass.
Yeah.
Got them into the playoffs.
But still, I like this West Rusk team. I don't know if it's enough to beat Newton, but
They can
I wouldn't be
score.
surprised if it were to happen.
If it gets into a shootout, they
Yeah.
can hold with it, which is something that a Newton squad
Yeah.
hasn't had to face all year. No one has
Yeah.
been able to get into
Yeah.
any sort of a shootout, and if anyone was going to do it, I think you're
Yeah.
right
Maybe
with
it's
West
West
Rusk.
Yeah.
I like Andon Mott. I like their quarterback a lot.
Yeah, he looked really, really good.
So I'd probably pencil them in as the second, my second team out of that region. So.
So then in Region 4, let's all gang up on the Canadian guy. Because all of us like Poth. We've all got Poth with the exception of Stepp, who likes Lexington out of Region 4. This is, to me, Poth has been the most consistently excellent program in Region 4. Even with the one loss, they had that loss to a 1-point loss to Shiner on basically the last play of the game. And they feel like, especially with the way that defense is humming right now, they feel like the team to beat. With all due respect to Lexington, who's 10-0, but I think that they've also walked a tougher. I think that Poth rather has walked a tougher path.
Yeah, easily. I've been waiting for Poth to kind of have this breakout year ever since 2019, I believe, was when they kind of really got on the radar, and it seems like they've always been right there ready for a breakout, and this year seems like their best team.
Yeah.
I remember when it was after their game against Falls City, which it was when we kind of got the notion that Falls City was not up to the normal standards, but Ish and I were driving out to a game that next day, and I was like, did you see that? Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And we were talking then in week 2 or 3 of the season of going, this defense is legit, and they've carried that on the rest of the year.
Yeah, most certainly. And so I am, but I think we all agree that Gunner has got to be the team to beat there in 3A Division 2. They look the part, and yeah, I mean, nobody's really been able to touch them aside from Brock, who's in the next classification. So
I just want Mallory in a wall shirt. Like, we need to get Mallory a wall shirt.
And a West Rusk one. Oh, I've got a bracelet.
You got like a whole bag full of stuff from West Rusk.
Yeah, we can make that
So
happen.
come on, Wall.
Shout out Coach Harrison.
Anyway, so you can find all things Texas high school football at playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. On to 3A Division 1 now. And 3A Division 1,
Yeah.
we've got some things to talk about here. A few different things.
A lot of things to talk
First
about.
and foremost, we're all split on titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so 3 of us, Mallory Hartley, Ashley Pickle, and myself, are rolling with Franklin, the defending 3A Division 2 state champs, making the move up to 3A Division 1, the number 1 team in the state.
Yeah, and the other 2 are wrong.
I just think that Bryson Washington and Jaden Jackson, and that rushing attack is so hard to defend for 4 quarters, and I think that's going to give them an edge in pretty much every game. Now, the interesting thing is they've got to go through, because you guys, both Stepp and Ish, if you're listening on the podcast, you guys are going with Malakoff.
Yes. I think this is Malakoff's best shot, mainly because the big bad wolf for Malakoff has always been Grandview. They get the right side of the bracket to where they wouldn't see Grandview until the regional final, and I don't think Grandview is going to make the regional final this year. This isn't the Grandview team that we're used to seeing. They got the better of Malakoff earlier in the regular season, so again, that would be a favorable matchup for Grandview. I don't think they make it that far, so I think this is Malakoff's shot, which is why I'm going with them. Not only coming out of that region, but I think in a one-off, I like them. I like them in their quarterback. I like the way that they're playing right now. I mean, I believe Mike Jones is a sophomore quarterback, so like he's a very talented, underrated player.
Mike Jones.
I wasn't gonna do it because like that'd be like.
I mean,
was doing a thing.
It would
where
really,
it'd
yeah.
be, like,
no, it was there was a silent acknowledgement between you and I, and I appreciate you understanding the score here. Okay, let's bounce up to Region 1. Let's bounce up to Region 1, where we've got more things to talk about here. Region 1. Whoa. Ish and Pickle taking Brock. Mm-hmm. You guys are just gonna ride or die.
I was just gonna say,
look, we've been waiting for this team to look like Brock all year, and sure, 0-4 to start. Whatever, the schedule was weird and hard, and they looked good. They haven't looked as great in district as maybe we thought. I still think they're going to turn it on.
We saw them play. I mean, we did. We saw their game against
true.
Wichita Falls Hershey, which they were punching up a classification, and they took a Wichita Falls Hershey team that has 2 Division I FBS prospects and took them into overtime. I think this team can figure it out. Also, I have died on this Brock Hill all year long. I'm not going back now. I'm either going to look like an idiot for the entire year, or I'm going to look like the smartest person, and I'm not willing to waver on that.
Mallory and Stepp, you guys are going with Whitesboro in Region 1.
Yeah. And this
hey, listen, they arguably, there's many people who think that Whitesboro did beat Brock.
Yeah.
That came down to a very controversial call at the end.
It did. And I think I'm going to take the Shiner Refugio ideology on this a little bit too. It's really, really hard to beat a good team twice, especially because of how close this game was. And so they wouldn't meet up until, looks like, the regional finals. I think that Whitesboro might have the easier path when it comes to the regional finals than Brock. So I'm going to also take that kind of ideology that they have an easier path to get to, and maybe they can pull it out this time.
I'm going to go, and I'm going off the board, and I'm going with Bushland.
I love this pick. I hate that you took it.
Now, Bushland does have the loss on the year where a couple weeks ago where they lost to Shallow Water. And there's ample reason to be spooked off of Bushland from there. But I think that was a blip. I think that was a wake-up call for them. I think that they're gonna get back and rolling again.
That offense is so fun.
Their offense can hum. Josh Reynolds' offense is humming right now, and they've got a really impressive resume. Like they've got wins over Canadian, over Childress, over Dumas, over El Paso Riverside. That one loss on the year is to Shallow Water, and I think it's hard to beat a good team twice. Now Shallow Water could make us all look dumb and win the region.
Sure.
But in Region 1, I think it's pretty tough. But I think that I'm glad that we're kind of. I hate to say I'm glad we're in disagreement, but I think that speaks to the depth of Region 1 and how it really could go any which way.
Anyway, yeah.
Region 2, 4 of us like Malakoff here. 4 of us like Malakoff for the reasons that you laid out, and I agree with you. I think that this team is ready for prime time. We go over to Pickle Island over here to talk a little Pottsboro.
Yeah, I can't buy in on Malakoff. I really can't, because I genuinely thought that this was going to be the year in the regular season that they took down Grandview, and they cannot get over that hump. I agree with Ish when he says I don't think Grandview is going to make it that far, but I think that Pottsboro is a better team than Grandview, and if they can't beat Grandview, then I think that I don't know. I like this Pottsboro team. I think that the depth is there. I also think that their size advantage plays a lot into it that Malakoff just might not have. I get burned by Malakoff every year. I couldn't do it.
Mine is Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah. I always want to say, this is the year, this is the year, this is the year. This is not I don't think it's the year.
Okay.
I know we picked pretty much all the same team besides Pickle, but I think still this region was really, really
tough.
I even texted Pickle last night and was like, who in the heck am I supposed to pick out of this region? Because it's a coin flip.
You're spot on. Region 2 rather.
I had to go back to this one.
So here's
me too.
So
yeah,
like
had to skip
teams
it.
like here's who I think, and this is me talking here, but here's who I think it would be reasonable to pick out of Region 2 rather. I think it would be reasonable to pick Malakoff, West, Grandview, Pottsboro, Tatum, right? Winsboro.
I almost went
9-1.
I almost went with
Jefferson
Winsboro.
won their district championship,
I mean,
right?
it's just
It is a real Mount Vernon. Like Mount Vernon is the team that won the region the last 2 years, right? So this is where the most depth is, I think. Maybe,
yes, for sure.
The second most depth is probably in Region 3, which is probably where we're going next, and this is where we have the most disagreements. I think it's fascinating that the people who picked Franklin, myself, Pickle, and Mallory, we basically think if they get out of Region 3, then they'll win the title.
They're the champions, yeah.
Right? You guys obviously don't think you're taking Hitchcock. This has been your darling ever since 7-on-7.
Very much so. Now the difference is, of course, you can't really tell the trenches from 7-on-7. So that's where I think the weakness is comparatively to the rest of the region. But you look at guys like their quarterback, Lloyd Jones. They have a stellar junior class. Damian McDaniels, one of the most underrated receivers. I think he recently got an Oregon offer, so like he's really bursting through the mainstream. I believe Bryce Dorsey's another one of their playmakers. I just think these guys have playmakers all over the field, and I don't know if they're going to be able to match 60 minutes with another team like a Franklin up in the trenches, but I think they're the team that can maybe hit a home run or two, catch a couple teams off guard, and all of a sudden put teams like Franklin in a bit of a hole where they haven't been before, 14-0, 21-7, those kind of things, and jump out on them. Again, the difference will be if they can block for that long to be able to set up these long plays, because, again, the athleticism is there. They made that run in 7-on-7, and I'm glad that they're kind of justifying that run in the fall with actual, 11-on-11 football being pretty successful.
They're a home run hitting team. Yeah. And that is the thing that I think you can say about Franklin and Hitchcock is they hit home runs. Yeah. And you've got to contain them for 48 minutes. Yeah.
I will say one of their biggest wins of the year over Furia in a team. I know they're 2A. I know they're a classification below, but talk about a team that beats you up in the trenches. Yeah. That is a good resume and a good hint towards maybe they can actually match up in the trenches.
Step one with Columbus. A lot of Columbus, in my opinion, is about whether or not you think that loss to Hitchcock was a blip or like a canary in the coal mine. And Columbus looks the part. They got a showable quarterback, so that's usually good news. Their defense has been pretty strong. The question is, do you think that they would win a rematch? How do you think they'd match up with Franklin? I mean, this is another really deep region where you've got a number of different teams that you could certainly dream on. Columbus, obviously in that mix. Franklin, the three of us are going with them. We haven't even mentioned Lorena, who plays Columbus in the first round, by the way. Yeah. Hitchcock, Cameron Yo, that District 11 versus District 12 is going to be the real power nexus.
Well, I think, too, since we haven't talked much about Franklin, and obviously we all like them, I think that we'll get a really good answer as to just how deep this Franklin team is, because their first-round matchup is against Hallettsville. And say what you will, we haven't mentioned them at all about this region, and they're a very, very good team. So, that to me will be the measuring... Yeah, that's the measuring stick that I need is this by-district round for Franklin to see, because I think they're a murder machine. I just don't think there's a single team in this entire bracket that can stop them right now.
So that's 3A Division 1. We can move on to 4A.
Hey, go back. Region 4, my friends. Allow me to introduce you to 3 very smart people and 2 not so smart people. Mallory, Ish, and I all taking the Llano Yellow Jackets, and then the other 2 dummies taking Edna. All due respect to Edna.
Yeah, here's
a lot of Edna hate on this show.
Yeah, a lot of Edna hate.
All due respect to Edna.
So Edna does have the one loss in the year, but it was to Refuria, which is a team that we think pretty highly of, although it is a 2A team, so again, grain of salt. But since then, they've got a great win over Sinton. I think to me, if you take that Refurio loss and the Sinton win, they basically cancel each other out because it's that's a really good win over a good Sinton team that's a 4A team. Their defense gave up 18 points in district play. Their defense has hit another level, has Edna. And here's the other thing about it. I like Llano. Okay? I like Llano.
Someone cut that.
Can you give me the single? I like Llano.
Done. Show's over. Thank y'all for joining us for our playoff prediction show.
They are reliant on bullying people in the trenches, and I'm not sure they can do that to Edna. I think Edna up front is very physical, and they're going to be able to match Llano up front. And that is, to me, why I give the edge to the Cowboys. So there you have it. You can all throw tomatoes at me from Llano County.
Don't worry. We've been doing that for a while now.
I'm aware. That's fine. So there you have it. And then obviously we all kind of split on the titles, which I think is great. And I think it tells you kind of how fun 3A Division 1 has a chance to be.
How crazy this division is, yeah.
And there could be 1 or 2 upsets that we don't see coming that just blows everything out of the water. Because this has also been the district, or rather the classification, that's given us surprises. Lorena last year was a surprise.
Oh my gosh, that one weekend over Thanksgiving, last year or whatever, do you remember that? Grandview ended up losing, just chaos every year.
Jim Ned, a couple of years, 2020, they were a big surprise. So this has been the classification that historically in recent years has given us the big surprises. Do they have another one in store? Find out together. You can find all the brackets, everything you need for the Texas High School Football Playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. Now on to 4A Pickle, to 4A Division 2. And let's talk a little bit about...
A lot more chalk.
Chalk. Yes. Although there's some, 3 of y'all are in complete lockstep, I think. Yes. Or 2 of y'all. No, three of y'all. All three in the
All
middle.
three of us.
Ish, Pickle, and Step, completely the same.
And Mallory.
Mallory and I dare to be different. Now, Mallory is right. So let's start with this. Four of us are rolling with Carthage to win the state championship.
Mm-hmm.
The quietest murder machine in America.
Yeah.
They have been. We haven't talked. Like, it feels like we have not talked at all. And there's always one. There's always one team that goes wire to wire at number one and just mulches people, and we don't talk about them.
And a part of that scares me a little bit, that we haven't talked about them. You know,
this year it's Carthage.
Yeah.
Because they have outscored their opponents 507 to 95. Remember last year the big concern was that their offense really never got into gear? Well, they're averaging 51 points a game. They're winning games by an average of 41 points a game. They have wins over 5A Marshall, which is a playoff team. They have a win over Kilgore, right? They have a win over Center. They have a win over Van. They have a win over Rusk. And all those games were no contests. So I like Carthage, and they also have a coach who has 8 state championship rings. I like Carthage.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like a history thing.
Step likes Carthage, and Pickle likes Carthage. We go to our Chief Silsby correspondent, Mallory Hartley, who's going to roll with the Tigers.
Nah, I like this Silsby team a lot. I really like Draylon Miller, and when I filled out my bracket at first, I was like, I had Carthage, and I was looking at Region 2. I was like, that's a really tough region to get through. You've got Pleasant Grove, you've got Gilmer, Rusk has been good, and Carthage. I just think that Silsby's got a much easier path to that state championship. I think that they're going to be better rested, maybe. And when it comes to that, and I know that Carthage has been this murder machine all year, and it's hard to pick against Carthage, but I really like Draylon Miller. I think would be the best player in that game.
I'm going to push back against you on one thing. I think Region 3 is super deep. We'll get to that in a minute. I think Region 3 is super deep. And I think it's deeper than you guys are giving it credit for. Because all y'all are on Silsby in Region 3. We'll get to them in a moment. And I think Region 3 is deeper. We'll start Region 1. Region 1, we've got four of y'all on Hershey. You guys like Hershey. To me, we were talking about this in bracketology.
Yes.
I think there's really only 2 choices here in Region 1. I think it's kind of reflected here. You guys like Hershey. I'm going with Glen Rose. I think those are it's one or the other.
Basically, Hershey's going to have the 2 best players on the field, I think, in any game until they get to a state semifinal.
I was fixing it. Yeah, my biggest thing is to, like, all due respect to both of these teams, but their championship is the regional finals. Yeah. Whoever can win that's great. I just don't think that the competition is there when you put them in the state semifinal.
I think the difference between region, and
it's vast. It's a vast difference.
When you think about, like, last year, China Spring was the one that beat Carthage, and they made it through. That's where the real power nexus was. So then you go to Region 2. Region 2, we're in lockstep on Carthage. Yep. But again, I want to stress that, like, unanimity.
Gilmer's second, third round, right? Potentially.
What's that?
Carthage, Gilmer's
second round or third round. Third round.
Yeah.
Regional semifinal. Carthage and Gilmer. That's number 1 versus number 2.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I want to continue to say. I'll continue to say the same things. Which people watch this show, they know I just say the same 5 things. Unanimity does not mean confidence. Do you know what I mean? Now, I think Carthage is the best team in the state. I really do.
I think there's confidence with this one.
I don't know, man. Gilmer's really good. Pleasant Grove's really good.
It's tough.
I feel like Gilmer, I'm sorry, but I just feel like Gilmer is the same thing that we're going to say with, what did we just say it about? Hang on, I went blank. Continue on with what you were saying. Malakoff. Yes, Malakoff and Grandview. It's just one of those things, like, no matter how good they are, they walk out with Carthage across their chest and they're down 14. Until I see it, I just can't believe it.
That's fair. That's a fair argument. And look, we're all taking Carthage.
Clear.
We're all
but for the sake of argument.
Region 2. But I also think that the unanimity we have in our picks, it lies to you a little bit about how... Like, because I think that
it's
region
still
is
super
deeper.
competitive.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So on to Region 3, which is where I want to have a conversation with Mallory. Because y'all are all on Silsby, and I get it. I like that. I like Silsby a lot. Cuero, Belleville, Waco Connolly, Jasper. I think Region 3 is super deep. And if you want to talk about a path that Silsby would have to walk, they'll probably beat West Columbia. They'll probably beat Smithville. Then they're going to get, in consecutive weeks, Belleville, and then maybe Cuero, and then whoever wins Region 4, we all like Wimberley. I think they have a very tough path. I like what Cuero brings to the table. Maybe it's pedigree. Maybe it's because they've made that deep playoff run before. Now, Silsbee's no stranger to deep playoff runs, and they've got that dude. I've made the point before that I'm getting real Trendavian Dixon vibes from Draylen Miller in the sense that, like, just throw him the ball and, like, good things will happen.
Right.
But I think Region 3 is much more wide open than at first glance, because I think Belleville's really dangerous. I think Connolly, when they play to their paper, is really dangerous. The question there is depth, though.
Yeah, the question with Connolly is similar. It's to me, like a hyper version of what I talked about with Hitchcock, where they have Kobe Black, they have guys on the outside that can run with anybody. The second one of those guys are out for a play or it goes down, they're too deep. It's just not there. Me and Mallory saw them take care of business against Springtown, just like absolutely look stellar. But again, there was a weird loss on their schedule, and I can't remember
For who?
Connolly. Earlier in the year, where you're like, oh, but then you looked. It was because they had injury. Their quarterback was out, and so their too deep just isn't there.
Connolly lost a game to,
or was it? It was a
Brownwood.
They got
mulched by Brownwood.
Yeah, and so like again, Brownwood's very good too.
And then
We'll
Brownwood went and lost to Stephenville the next week. So
Right,
that's actually how that one aged poorly.
Yeah.
So so that's where my concern with Connolly comes in. But I'm with Mallory here. I think I like Silsbee a lot. Draylen Miller's been, I mean, it's hard to talk about 5 best players in the state in any classification and not have his name in there.
It's fair. I just want to make sure that we are putting on wax that I think Region 3
It's difficult.
is really deep.
Yeah.
And really tough to navigate. There are other regions, like we were talking about Hershey and Glen Rose. I think Region 1's pretty manageable. Honestly, Seminole is maybe a bit of a sleeper up there in Region 1, but I think for Region 3, there's just a lot of depth.
Now, is it weird that we haven't talked about, and again, this is kind of just where they are this year, Western Stark?
It is weird, right?
Yeah.
But this is the time when they turn it on.
Yeah.
Like this time. And Hiawatha Hickman knows that. And
Which is exactly why I think I went with
Mustang
Silsey, just because I feel like they have been more battle tested throughout the year. I think that Cuero got 2 really good wins. We basically penciled them in to never have to talk about them again. They lost to Cal Allen. I think Cal Allen's a murder machine. But after that, it's been kind of like, okay. I think Silsby's been absolutely battle tested.
Okay.
I like that.
I think, too, Draylen Miller is also only a junior. So I don't think if it's their year this year, I think they've got a really good chance of coming back next year.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and then in Region 4, we are in lockstep with Wimberley. This is another region where it really does feel like Wimberley's to lose.
Which shout out to them, too, because they lost Cash McCollum. So, new kids stepping in.
The other team I would throw out there, as a sleeper there would be Sinton. Sinton took 3 losses in non-district to Beeville Jones, to Edna, and to Lavernia, and I think kind of people buried them, but they're humming right now. They're humming right now, and Mike Troutman is a madman. So there's that. But then we all, except for Mallory, like Carthage to win title number 10. So.
Stick with it. Rep it.
Let's go, Silsbee. Don't let me down,
title
man.
number 9.
Don't let me down.
9. That's right.
Y'all are gonna feel sorry when Gilmer beats Carthage, and you're gonna be at a loss. I'm gonna be like, my champion's
who
still
could
down
have
there.
guessed this? Wouldn't it be a shame if someone happened to pick Silsbee?
You can find all the brackets and everything you need for the Texas High School Football Playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. All right, let's roll on to 4A Division 1, where we've got a few different things to talk about here. Four of us like the same state champion. The number 1 team in the state, the China Spring Cougars, the reigning 4A Division 2 state champions, making the move up. They have that kind of signature win over Stephenville a couple of weeks ago. We all like them in Region 2, and 4 of us like them to win the state championship, but not 5 of us.
Yeah. I personally like Jeff Reardon, so I don't know.
I don't know about y'all.
Ish said, hey, don't I get J's if I pick him?
Anyway, so let's make one thing clear. I picked Chapel Hill, Coach Reardon, so I don't know about these guys. My thing is here.
Now, you just saw him, right?
What?
Did you?
No, he didn't go.
That was
Stepped
on. So
but Roach and all them were there.
This is a team that's, yes, they stumbled in the regular season a little bit, right? They didn't
First
look
two out of the gates.
First two out of the gates were like, oh, geez. Gilmer, whatever, sure, fine. But they lose to Van. You're like, okay, what is this the team we thought they would be? I think this is a team that's been, for better or worse, since the last snap of last year's game where they lost to LBJ. They were trying to get back to that opportunity. And I think that in August they were thinking about November. And that's, to me, this is still a young team, probably a team a year away from being their absolute best. But I think this is a team that has the highest ceiling of any team in this classification. If I'm being honest, also potentially the lowest floor. They could also go out pretty early if things just don't fall right. If the early season, the early version of them was the version that they are, they could absolutely get upset in the early rounds. But I'm going with the high ceiling. I'm going with the athleticism, the athletes they have there. I just think they've been thinking about this time of year for about a year now.
They are so young.
Yes.
And
make
they
a
are
lot of
so
mistakes.
they're so young, and they are so home run heavy.
Oh, yeah.
That is both their greatest asset and their greatest downfall.
Sure.
Is that if the home runs aren't hitting, I don't know if they can grind out a team. Do you know what I mean? I have some concerns about their defense, but at the same time, they will be the most explosive team in every game they play.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be the most explosive team in every game they play. And so the question is, does that win out?
Well, and that's what because I watched the entirety of that Chapel Hill Kilgore game on Texan Live, Dave Campbell's Texan Live. Subscribe. But the thing that worried me was the offensive line, because there were back-to-back plays where they would look like the most dominant unit on that front, and then the next play they would give up some crazy sack in it. So the inconsistency there is what scares me.
Yeah.
Well, I don't fully trust that quarterback either. I mean, during that Kilgore game, there were a couple of turnovers that I thought were not.
Yeah, and that's the youth coming into play.
He has 10 picks, right? He's a sophomore. He's still a
Yeah.
sophomore. Ricky Stewart, of course, another one of their dynamic sophomores. 1,500 yards rushing on the year. Like I said, I think this is the high. Again, I mentioned it. High ceiling, low floor.
Yeah.
Though, right?
Yeah.
There's a big
Expected.
variance.
There's a
Yeah.
big variance. If they play to their paper 6 times, they're going to win a state championship.
Sure.
Plain and simple. I think there's an argument they're the most talented team in the bracket. So let's bounce up to Region 1. Region 1, the four of us here, the smart people here, the Americans, like Brownwood. Brownwood to win the region. I think that that Stephenville loss, I think, woke them up. And I think that they went out there and they figured some things out. Most especially, they figured things out really defensively since then. And I think they've been rolling. Another thing about them, this is just a small thing, they had a Week 11 open date, and I think that matters.
Yes.
Heading into there, I think that they're the favorites. Steps rolling with Decatur in Region 1, which is...
I think it's the other team. If you would look at the top 2 teams in that region, I probably would pencil those 2 in.
Yeah, Brownwood and Decatur. If you're looking for a third, it's probably El Paso Riverside.
Wichita Falls.
Wichita Falls. Dub the Coyote. Dub the Coyote.
They've been rolling.
Yeah, for sure. They're brimming with confidence right now. But I would say that Brownwood, maybe Decatur are there. We're in lockstep on Region 2. Region 2, we all took China Spring. I do think it's amazing how they've just put Cash McCollum in there and changed and a new coach.
Yeah.
And the offense has continued to hum. Their defense is pretty good too. I don't know if it's quite as good as it was last year, but that's a really high bar.
Yeah.
Right. So then we get to Region 3. And y'all are all rolling with Chapel Hill. We've talked at length about Chapel Hill. Allow me to tell you the good news of the Lumberton Raiders, okay? James Reyes, I've been on Lumberton for a while now. I think Lumberton's really good. They've got 1 loss on the year. It was to Houston St. Thomas, who is a state-ranked private school team. But this team is humming, and their offense is fun to watch. They have got a lot of different playmakers out there that can beat you in a variety of different ways. This junior quarterback, Lucas Powell, has been fantastic. They've got a 1,000-yard running back in Jaden Ward. This offense is humming. They're brimming with confidence. And I know it's not all about the draw, but I think that they got a pretty good draw. They would get Chapel Hill in the regional semifinals. That would be the real big test. And at that point, they'd probably run into a team like El Campo, which is crazy. We haven't even mentioned a team like El Campo.
I was about to say that. Speaking of teams with slow starts, right? They were a team that really started off slow.
Yeah.
But, again, if it's just the Ruben Owens show.
Yeah. I mean,
he could be, again, he could just decide to turn it on and
run for 400 yards a game.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's wild, like you mentioned. Now that you mentioned it, I didn't realize we haven't even mentioned.
And here's the funny thing: we're probably going to get El Campo and Kilgore in the second round of the playoffs,
and that is a tasty matchup.
That's a really, really fun matchup, and we'll kind of help shape the rest of the bracket.
Wins.
That's right. To Region 4 we go, and Region 4 again. I do think that I'm glad this is split the way that it is. That it's basically 50-50. You can't be 50-50 with 5 picks, I know. But it's split down the middle.
The math don't be mathing.
Math don't be mathing that way. Where 3 of us, Step, Ish, and Mallory, are taking Bernie, and 2 of us, Pickle and Tepper are taking Cal Allen. Those are, in my opinion, the clear 2 best teams in Region 4.
Yeah. I think I told you about this on the bracketology video. I have a theory about Cal Allen. They have been opening up the offense. I know the past couple of years they've been spreading it out a little bit more. They still ran the ball, but they opened up the formation a little bit. This year they're definitely reverted more to a spread-oriented offense. I think that's more in line with what a team like Bernie has seen consistently all year. And I think the difference maker for Cal Allen has been in the past that offense that grinded teams into dust. If we saw them almost get a state championship out of it against Aledo when Aledo didn't know how to stop the offense. I wonder if now they're just another really good spread team that Bernie's like, oh, we've seen this before.
Interesting.
Right? So that's my theory. When they get out of that Coastal Bend region, if they play it. Now, granted, that's still probably, what is that, a regional final?
That'll be a regional final.
So, like, sure, that's still me saying they'll probably make a regional final. But at that point, then I wonder about their top end ceiling against a team like Bernie, who's like, oh, this is like an offense that we can watch. Like, look back on what South Oak Cliff had to do with Liberty Hill, right? It's like, oh, we got to find film on this team because we never played. Bernie's like, oh, we'll just throw on the whatever film because this is a similar offense to what we've seen before.
Yeah, and then I think it's Jackson Bays. Is that the name of the quarterback?
Yes.
There's two. There are 2 Bays.
There's 2
kids.
Bazes.
Yeah.
One of them.
One's a receiver.
One's a receiver. Yeah. The older one's the receiver.
But this sophomore quarterback for Bernie's been really good. A lot to like about them. Their defense has really I think rounded into form recently, and they've been very, very strong. The other team I want to make sure we mention here, because I think they can ruin some seasons, including Cal Allen's in the second round. San Antonio Davenport.
Yeah, first-year team.
First-year team.
They've got
They got Shaston Golden.
Yeah, Shaston Golden.
That dude's a bad man. He's a bad man.
Which honestly, if you wanna go to what Ish was saying, which I totally see his point there, I still think the Cal Allen defense is just too much for a team like Bernie, but we'll get a really good glimpse of that with Davenport. If they go out there and absolutely shut down Davenport, then I don't have any doubt that they could shut down a team like Bernie. But that'll be a good sample size to see.
Most certainly. So there it is, our 4A Division I picks. Ish likes Chapel Hill. The remainder of us like China Spring. Should be a lot of fun. You know what's funny? We didn't even mention the defending 4A Division I state champs in Stephenville, which is crazy.
Yeah.
They're just
Crazy.
not.
I mean, I think our defense, like the
they're
defense,
the cardiac kids.
They're gonna
Here's
the thing. They're gonna get a
in.
second round matchup with Anna. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and that'll
tough.
really tell the tale.
Yeah.
But that
I don't know if
defense,
that
we've
defense
been
can
waiting
stop
for
it.
that defense to come around, and it just like kind of hasn't. So it's very interesting. Anyway, that's our 4A Division I picks. You can find complete coverage of the 2022 Texas High School Football Playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. And now a word from our friends at VCR Now.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
Back here on the Texas Football Today, Texas High School Football Playoff Prediction Special. Greg Tepper, Ishmael Johnson, Mallory Hartley, Ashley Pickle, rolling out our 2022 Texas High School Football Playoff predictions. You can find everything you need for the 2022 Texas High School Football Playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs, including printable brackets. Ish and I put together printable brackets for you this week. Don't let our death be in vain. Go print them out and fill them out. We also have a pick'em, right? Our playoff pick'em is live.
Playoff pick'em for by-district round is live. Should be live right now.
Yeah.
Can't say for sure, but I did it.
He did his part. Now up to the nerds who make it all work.
I didn't.
Let's roll to 5A Division II now, getting into big school territory. Rolling out our 5A Division II state championship picks, and we have got a few different things to talk about. 3 different teams predicted for state championships. Steph and I are rolling with South Oakland.
Yeah.
I'm going to ride or die, okay? I have been on this bandwagon all year long. I've been saying that I thought that those 3 losses at the beginning of the year were because of strength of quality, and once they start playing teams within their own weight class, they're going to be okay. I am not without my concerns. The offense has been inconsistent,
To say the least.
but what hasn't been inconsistent, even in their losses, has been the defense.
Sure.
And I think that win over Parish Episcopal has aged really well. It looks like they've figured things out offensively. The only thing that concerns me is this does have a little bit of Carthage feel to it of last year, where if they go out there and they play a pretty good defense that holds them to like 10 points, they could lose a game 14-10. Do you know what I mean? That's the concern for me. I still think they're the most talented team in the bracket.
Yeah.
And as a result, I think that's going to win out, especially with that pedigree. I think they're the fastest team in the bracket, too, and that's going to help them. Pickle, you and Ish are on Fort Bend Marshall.
Shout out Mo City. The concerns with the South Oak Cliff offense are just they've played 3-4 different quarterbacks this year.
They're still switching.
They're still switching, right?
We talked about that on Football Friday. They're still switching in between 2 of them. They played 2 of them against Woodrow Wilson last week.
And I think that's good enough to get them to a regional final, potentially to a state semifinal, right? But at that point, I think you're going to have to score some points.
You have to choose eventually.
And I just do not see. I don't know. I think Fort Bend Marshall's been that team on the cusp, right? They made a couple of state championship games, of course, with that Malik Hornsby, Devon A-Chain team. I think this is the year. It's maybe not that top-end talent year, but I think this is the year where I'm not too overly confident about any of the teams. And I think that a program that's consistently talented and gifted as a Fort Bend Marshall, this is the year where they just win out because they are just the constant.
That's fair.
And my thing about that is every single year that Fort Bend Marshall that we think that they might have a chance to do it, we say that, but it's with a grain of salt because they haven't been tested. We have no idea really what that is. This year they have been well tested in their non-district, in their district schedule was a lot more difficult than it usually is. So the fact that we've seen them tested, I feel like goes a long way. And I really just think they're by far the best team on the right side of the bracket. So,
yeah, maybe.
And also the teams that have gotten them have been the physical Alito teams that just mow everybody down. I don't think they're outmatched in the trenches in any team.
No, because usually they just outrun you. They're just faster than you. But this time they've actually got some.
Your point is well taken about how they have been tested much more. I think that last I talked about it on Tep and Step last week and on the picks video about how I thought it was a really important win for them to go out there and play Dayton in that final regular season tune-up, so to speak, and to beat a good Dayton team. That is impressive to me.
And it beat them well.
Yes.
52-21.
Mallory, would you look like you have something to say? Do you?
No, I really am, and this is a pick that I feel like I'm pretty confident in. This Argyle team, I think, is the real deal. Number 1 in 5A Division II, pretty much throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
10-0. I think it's the same thing with Fort Bend Marshall. I think they've been tested really, really well this season. They played Grapevine, Lovejoy, Melissa, and they've won all of them. I'm just really, really high on this Argyle team. I figured it was really, really hard to pick against them, and I just saw that, and I was like, I'm just going to go Argyle.
Here's what's so interesting.
Really like them.
Here's what's so interesting to me. Argyle, we fall into a trap sometimes with teams that this is going to sound like a knock, and I don't mean it. We confuse boring for bad. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yep. And they are boring.
Argyle is kind of plotting. They are their defense is good. They win up front. They run the ball well, things like that. They don't have star power. They got Riley Van Poppel and guys in the trenches and stuff who are stars, but they don't have that flash bang. They don't have Nick Ralston from a couple of years ago, this Argyle team. But they're just solid.
And it's a team that can put up a lot of points.
And they just march. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Sometimes we mistake boring for not a contender. Yeah. And it's sometimes boring teams win titles. And Argyle may be boring, but they're really good. Okay, so we'll bounce up to Region 1. That's where you almost all of us have Argyle.
Yeah.
For reasons that we talked about.
Yep.
But not all of us.
Oh, he's got that. He's got controversy in his eyes.
Let me tell y'all about these Grapevine Mustangs. Now, people will look, "Oi, didn't they lose to Argyle 31-15?"
Oi! Hey, mate.
What's all this said?
Let me tell you about
Listen,
Grapevine,
They
mate.
played earlier in the year, and Argyle beat them 31-15. This is your average Texas high school football fan.
Exactly
I'm
right.
bringing it up.
Welcome to Texas football today.
So this game played out on the field, and Grapevine definitely did not beat Argyle. Ishmael, what are you talking about? So now let me get back to my version, not the Aussie accented Texas high school football fan. Grapevine in that game drove the ball consistently against that team. They had 2 drives stop because of missed field goals that put Argyle in decent position, and where they were able to take a pretty good advantage early. Grapevine can play with Argyle. This was not a seemingly, I don't want to say lopsided because it wasn't a blowout, but this wasn't the one-sided game that the scoreboard or the box score may have hinted at. Grapevine was able to move the ball. They weren't able to finish chances. Now, again, you got to finish chances, right? That's part of being a good team. I think Grapevine can get them if they matched up a second time. I do think this is a team that showed early that they can play with Argyle. Okay. I think Argyle will be the favorite, right? I know I'm going out on a limb saying this, but I think Grapevine is a team that can catch them a second time.
Okay. All right. To Region 2 we go. Over in Region 2, almost all of us have South Oak Cliff, but again, that also belies again, unanimity does not mean dominance and certainty.
I don't feel great about this pick,
because
like
Region
being honest.
2, but I
Yeah.
don't know. Here's the funny thing. So Midlothian Heritage, you're taking Midlothian Heritage to win it.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in that. I think.
Here's-
Well, I think I'm
Here's
I'm
what-
not confident in South Oak Cliff.
I don't know if I feel confident about anybody in Region 2.
No.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because who are the best teams in Region 2? South Oak Cliff, Lovejoy,
I
right?
know.
Right?
No.
You're done with them.
No. Done.
Melissa,
Soft.
Everman's really good.
Everman,
They just-
Midlothian Heritage, right? I don't think there's if you're looking for a sure thing, it doesn't exist in Region 2. That said, as I mentioned, I'm going with the most talented team. And I don't think there's really any doubt that from a just line it up on paper perspective, South Oak Cliff is the fastest team, and they are, in my opinion, the most talented team, especially on defense.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I just don't think I'm still fully convinced on South Oak Cliff. I think when those two teams meet up, I think it'll obviously be very telling and stuff. But I'm just not fully convinced on South Oak Cliff.
Okay.
I think Midlothian Heritage has looked phenomenal this season. They have one loss to Stephenville, but it was a super, super close game anyways. But I think they have a ton of convincing wins. I think they looked really, really good against Everman last week. And like you said, it's a coin flip. So I just think I think
Well, and that's the funny
I
thing
like
is
them better than South
we
Oak
talked
Cliff.
about Fort Bend Marshall having to they've proved themselves so far.
Talk about
we
proving
don't,
themselves,
We have
yeah.
no idea what to think about Sauk in
I
my
know.
mind because
Right.
you have the unbelievable non-district schedule they play. Then they don't play anybody.
Yeah.
So then it's okay.
That's why I was like, I don't know.
Where is this
what
quarterback
they
It
look
switching
really
like.
is
thing
peaks and
gonna be?
valleys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. You're right. Okay, on to Region 3. Region 3, we're all in agreement. We talked a little bit about Fort Bend Marshall. Fort Bend Marshall looks like the team to beat in Region 3. I would be remiss if I did not mention that, what we're talking about here, as far as there's a state finalist here in Austin LBJ,
Sure.
but LBJ is much like that, what we were just talking about with South Oak Cliff, in the sense that they haven't played anybody for 2 months. You know what I mean? They've been rolling past people. There is a sleeper there, and I mentioned on the bracketology video that's
Lake
coming
Creek?
out here soon. Montgomery Lake Creek, y'all, undefeated, and they can score. Okay,
Yeah.
so if they can get somebody into a shootout, because that's the thing, they would probably see Fort Bend Marshall in a regional semifinal. That is going to be a game by pace, because Fort Bend Marshall is good, but they're not built to go for 50.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? They at least not unless they're just overmatching an opponent. If Lake Creek can talk somebody into a shootout, they can win it. So keep an eye on that. And then in Region 4. So Region 4, there's another state finalist here, and that is the Liberty Hill Panthers. 3 of us have that, Ish, Mallory, and myself. Step is going with the Mules of Alamo Heights.
It's a good hipster pick.
That is a very hipstery
It's
pick.
hipster,
The Mules are
but
good.
it's good.
That's a good Alamo Heights team. You know who loves the Alamo Heights? The computer. The computer loves Alamo Heights because
They've
they're
been dominant.
Now, the only thing about that, though, and here's what gives me pause. They're in, and there's nothing they can do about it, but they're in a 10-team district, which means they have only played San Antonio. I guess Alamo Heights is its own school district, but they've only played San Antonio schools for the last 9 games. Their non-district win or their non-district game was a loss to Seguin in the opener. right? So are they a product of a weak district? Like we won't know until we know, which is a dumb thing to say. Welcome to the dumb zone. And then Pickle, Gregory Portland. Is it because you love me?
I was about to say that.
No.
That's why she picked it.
No. No, hey, I think that, one, I was very, very high on Gregory Portland coming into the year. Very high on them. The issue was their starting quarterback goes down early on, but if you're going to lose someone that's a key piece at the beginning of the year and figure your way out the rest of the year, I know this is a hipster pick, but I just don't think that Liberty Hill is near as dominant. I think that every single year we almost look at Region 4 and can just straight up pencil Liberty Hill in. I don't think that they're as dominant this year as they have been in the past. And I think that, it'll be one of those things where I think Gregory Portland will need to, their defense will have to show up that game if they meet in the regional semifinal, but I think Liberty Hill is beatable.
Well, and here's the other thing. Here's what gives me pause about G-Port is they're coming off a loss, losing to Flower Bluff.
Flower Bluff was not good.
And
the other two losses are
by the way,
reasonable.
Flower Bluff's dangerous. I think Flower Bluff's dangerous. If they can play like they did against G-Port, then they've got an opportunity. And then we talked about it. We're kind of split on title games or title state championships. 2 for Fort Bend Marshall, 2 for South Oak Cliff, and 1 for Argyle. Of course, you can find a complete coverage of the 2022 Texas High School Football Playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. Rolling on here on the Texas Football Today Texas High School Football Playoff Predictions Special with Ishmael Johnson, Mallory Hartley, and Ashley Pickle. Let's roll on to 5A Division 1. Let's have some fun here. Have a little bit of fun. So, for y'all, like rolling with the Lobos. You're rolling with the number 1 team in the state, the Longview Lobos, and there's nothing wrong with rolling with Longview. They've been number 1 wire to wire, and they look like the team to beat in 5A Division 1.
Yeah, I saw this team in person play Lancaster. I think that's one of the other teams to watch out of Region 2. I don't know, man. This team looks complete. They look like they have the defense. They have the running game with Taylor Tatum. If they need to throw it outside, obviously they have Jalen Hale there. That's not a bad second option to have on offense. I just see this team being tested. They're going to have the fan support. I see the legacy there. Obviously, they have one of the best coaches in the state in John King. My only concern with them, and I don't know if they'll be asked to have a lot, is their quarterback situation is not the best. It's not a Haynes King team, right? It's not that team of past. But
Jordan Allen.
Yeah. And so I don't think they'll be pushed in that way. I think where they'll have to get out of their plan A, which is Taylor Tatum, 30, 40 carries a game. Yes. So yeah, I think this is a Longview team that's poised to make a run.
It definitely I was just going to say it definitely feels like the state semifinals on that side of the bracket will be like the championship per se.
Oh yeah, I think that the left side of the bracket is most certainly the power, where the power lies.
So this champion, it's hard to.
Here's where I'm at. I just don't think they're getting out of Region 2. I think Lancaster. Remember, because that was a 1-score game in Longview where Longview had to score late.
Yeah.
I think if Lancaster gets them again, I think they can get them. Sure. And that's a coin flip game, and so either way. But here's how. Watch me do my mental gymnastics here. Because I have Aledo winning the state championship.
Yes.
I have Aledo winning the state championship, the 10-time state champion. I think they get number 11. I think that they've grown. I think that Hoss Haney, their quarterback, has really grown into a super duper star. Got Jalen Pope on the outside. Their defense has been strong all year long. Okay. I think Lancaster beats Longview in a rematch. I think Aledo's a favorite over Lancaster because of the stylistic way that they play. If Longview wins Region 2, I think they're going to win the state championship. That's where I'm at with it. I think Longview matches up really well with Aledo.
Yeah.
And that they would be the favorite. They got to get through Region 2. So that's, for me, I'm going with, it's hard to beat a good team twice, so I think Lancaster wins the rematch. And as a result, Aledo matches up well with Lancaster, and Aledo wins the championship. You guys follow? I'm connecting the wires.
Yeah.
It's like Always Sunny. I'm doing that. Okay, we'll go up to Region 1. Region 1, we talked about Aledo.
Yep.
Aledo, we're in lockstep. We think they're the favorite. Once they kind of dominated that district of doom. I will tell you, though, that, I'm kind of out on Denton Ryan.
Yeah.
I think I'm just kind of out.
I think
this will be they get a tough bi-district
Red
draw
Oak.
with Red Oak. That's an insane matchup for them for the first round. Then they get, if they make it out of that,
a rematch with Burleson Centennial.
Wow.
Burleson Centennial,
or Lake Belton.
or Tascosa.
Lake Belton.
Burleson Centennial and Lake Belton is a first-round banger.
Banger, yeah.
That is a big-time matchup. Alito does have a tough path to walk. I think they're on the dirty side of the region because they're going to play Killeen Shoemaker, who is not a pushover. Then they play probably Lubbock Cooper, right? And then they're going to play Midlothian probably. Yeah. And that is a tough road to walk. That said, we're talking about Alito here. I think that they're going to win Region 1. Yeah. Region 2, we talked about Longview and Lancaster. There are other teams there that I think could surprise people. I think that Mansfield Timberview, we sleep on them every single year, and every single year they make us look dumb, but they're very dangerous. Frisco Reedy is undefeated. I have some questions about the strength of Frisco ISD as a whole this year, but they're dangerous. And then Port Arthur Memorial. Port Arthur Memorial kind of faded down the stretch, but if they turn it back on, that physical style is gonna travel well. Over to Region 3. Let's talk about Region 3 because we knew when realignment came out that this was going to be a little bit like murky in Region 3 because you've got a few different. It's kind of a mix between San Antonio, Brazos Valley, Houston. Like which do you like? And we kind of spread the love here. Three of us, the dudes, are on Smithson Valley, and dudes rock.
And dudes are wrong.
Dudes rock. So.
Dudes do rock.
Dudes rock 2022.
There it is. That's the show. That's Region 3 for you.
We took Smithson Valley.
This is why we have women talking football.
I like. Yeah, notice there's no.
Thursdays at 2 p.m.
This
guys.
is why we have to have women talking football.
Notice there's no dudes talking football. You know what I mean? But Smithson Valley is a team that I do think is flown under people's radar. Maybe it's because they took that loss to Harker Heights, but I think it's a loss that's aged really well.
Fine, yeah,
that's a district champion 6A team, maybe at least close. I'd say runner up. The loss, but they have been rolling since then, and I think that defense has been terrific for Larry Hill's bunch. I think they're the favorite in Region 2, or Region 3 rather. Mallory's rolling with the reigning state runners up in College Station.
Probably the preseason favorite we probably would have had coming.
Yeah, but so
and then Marquise Collins.
Yeah, Marquise Collins got hurt too.
It's really been snip, snap for them.
And I think it's that A&M consolidated win a couple weeks ago that kind of convinced me on them. The Georgetown loss was a little scary. I think that they started to figure things out a little bit, maybe a little bit too late in that game, but towards the end of the game, they looked kind of promising. And to me, I just think that this region's kind of also a coin flip. I think there's a lot of good teams coming out of Region 3 that really could just go either way. Obviously, you can see from our picks in Region 3. I just think College Station is just going to figure it out. Yeah. I really do. I think they've looked really good
when they play to their paper, for sure.
Yes.
One of the issues I have with College Station, and we talked about this when they were there going into the A&M Consolidated game, they have such a tendency to start slow.
And that's the issue.
That's why they
down
had to
in
score
Georgetown.
38 unanswered
Yeah, they're down
points.
35-3 to Georgetown. It's like, well, what the hell?
They've got to figure that part out.
Yeah, if they don't do that. And then Pickle, the full share Chargers.
I like this. I like this pick. I do a lot. I've been on full share for the whole year. I think that they're really good. And the reason that I like them is if they end up in a battle with Smithson Valley. Smithson Valley is also a team that's been putting up exceptional numbers. I feel confident that full share can outscore anyone. If their offense is humming, and I'm not saying that the defense is going to be great, but all you need is the defense to get one or two clutch stops. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for you to be great. Just get that, and I think that they can just track meet people.
Okay.
I'm going in on it.
That's fine. How much has to do with Nick Caduti and his hair?
You know I don't like the hard part because you have the hard part, so none of it has anything to do with that.
Coach Caduti?
If anything, he's had to convince me to like his team.
Solidarity, brother. Okay, let's talk about Region 4.
Let's do it.
Yeah, get out of here, Matthew.
So Matt Stepp
Matt
Stepp is a thief of joy. Stepp is rolling with Corpus Christi Miller. Now Corpus Christi.
Shout out Justin Evans.
But here's the thing. Okay, let me defend Matt Stepp here for a moment.
It's a good pick.
I think Miller is historically the chalk pick here because teams from the Rio Grande Valley do not make the semifinals, right? They don't win regions. So you would have to go with who is the best team from Corpus Christi. Now, Veterans beat Memorial. But notice nobody here is taking Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial. I think we're all a little bit leery on Corpus Christi Vets. Miller's got the playmakers. They've got Jaden Brown. They've got Lonnie Atkinson. They've got the playmakers on the outside. I think that Miller it's strange to say, but historically in everything that we're talking about, Miller's the safe pick. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Just because teams from the Valley don't make a semifinal. But they're making a semifinal this year, baby. And we're split on this.
Yeah, and that's fine. But we just need one of them.
We just need one of them.
Yeah.
Now, once again, dudes rock.
Yep.
And we're rolling with Edinburgh Vela. I am of the opinion that it's hard to be a good team twice. That's just that game was really close down to the wire, and I think that Vela can get them the second time. But I do think it's a coin flip game.
It's a coin flip game. I don't take that result with too much grain of salt because I think both those coaches knew they were going to see each other again. Right? You're not emptying the playbook in the regular season, even if it is like a nice. I'm trying to think. That was for eventually for a district title, but you're going to be playing for something a lot more. And so I think both teams kind of did not show a lot in that game, and so I'm going with Vela as well. I think that they're going to get it done either or. I think it'll be fantastic to have this matchup between PSJ North and the SaberCats. But, yeah, give me Vela in the rematch, definitely.
Okay. And then you guys are taking PSJ North.
I actually thought I was going to be the only person that took that. I thought that was going to be a little bit of the hipster thing because, like we said over and over again, it's really hard to beat a good team twice. I think either of these teams could absolutely do it. I think that PSJA, at least when they played last time, were definitely a little bit better up front. And I think that takes a lot into account here. Will Edinburgh use a little bit more of those, special weapons? Absolutely. Obviously, that's when it counts the most. But I think that PSJ is still they get the nod up front, and I like that a lot.
So here's the thing. The good thing about the way the bracket breaks down is we'll know real early because second round, almost certainly, Edinburgh Vela and Corpus Christi Vets, PSJ North, Corpus Christi Miller. Second round. So, it's either going to happen or it's not.
Yeah.
And with all due respect to District 13 and 14, I don't think, or rather District 13 and District 15, is that right? District 16, rather. I think that it's going to be between the Corpus Christi and the District.
And I think Vela has a better chance to beat Vets than PSJ has to beat
that's
Miller.
Fair.
So that at that point would also lead to that. But I also think that if they can take down Miller, then there's no reason they can't beat Vela again.
They're just on a roll, too, like they're feeling themselves.
Yeah,
They know what's at stake, and I just think that they
understand.
Feel good.
That's fine. There it is, 5A Division I, our predictions. You can find complete coverage of the Texas High School Football Playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. We are at Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on texasfootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. We're going to roll on with our 6A predictions here in a moment. But first, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, the leading publication for all things football in the state of Texas, and the Tax Act Texas Bowl are proud to recognize the Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week award to the most deserving high schooler in the state of Texas. Each week, the Dave Campbell's Texas Football staff nominates 10 candidates for that week's award based on the previous week's on-field performance. We then leave it to you to vote at texasfootball.com. Voting closes each Friday at noon, with the winner being announced shortly thereafter. Your Week 11 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week nominees. Let me find it. Godly wide receiver Drew Coleman had 7 catches, 168 yards, and 5 touchdowns receiving. Pretty good. Conroe wide receiver Louis Williams III had 7 catches, 224 yards, and 3 touchdowns receiving. Nevada Community running back and safety Quentin Hall, 14 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack, an interception. He ran for 72 yards and a score, and he had 28 yards receiving. Complete day. Hutto quarterback Will Hammond threw for 372 yards and 4 touchdowns passing, also ran for 101 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Shiner running back Dalton Brooks. Here's your wait what line of the week. Ready? 7 carries, 155 yards, and 3 touchdowns rushing. 2 catches, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving.
And that's why women rule.
So he got
Shiner.
So he got tackled. He had 9 touches, and he got tackled 4 times. Abilene Wiley defensive back Hayden Wright had 5 tackles and 3 picks in Wiley's big win over Abilene Cooper. Terrell running back Chase Bingman, 118 yards and a touchdown rushing, 38 yards and a touchdown receiving, 47 yards and a touchdown passing. He did it. He did the triumvirate. Brownsville Hannah running back Chris Perez ran for 369 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. Houston Fur quarterback Cameron Hurd threw for 128 yards and a touchdown passing. He also carried the ball 12 times for 193 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground. And finally, El Paso Riverside quarterback Ian Monchin went 14 of 17 for 402 yards and 7 touchdowns passing. So those are your Week 11 Mr. Texas Football Player of the Week nominees. Vote early, vote often, vote now at TexasFootball.com. Back here on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Today, Texas High School Football Playoff Prediction
Hero
Show.
of the week.
Hero of the week. Hit the sounder. It's on to the big boys, folks. It's on to Class 6A. We will start with our Class 6A Division 1 predictions, where let's talk all about
6A Division 2.
6A Division 2, I'm sorry. 6A Division 2.
Jumping the gun, my friend.
He's too excited.
And once again, 4 people... You 4 are over there by yourself,
You
and I'm on an
people.
island. And I'm on an island. The 4 of y'all are rolling with the Denton Geyer Wildcats to win the state championship.
Correct.
Yes.
That's just
They're just
correct.
Name one player.
You
Okay,
can't.
name 2.
Okay, name 12.
Hey, did y'all know that Jackson Arnold's a 5-star?
Oh, really?
Jackson Arnold, who's that?
Jackson
that?
Arnold's a 5-star.
Wait, I've
What?
heard
Who is
that.
this?
You know Peyton Bone's a 5-star?
No, they've got 2 of them.
Oh my
What?
God.
The 5-star quarterback.
Denton
dropping back to pass.
Geyer's pretty good. I'll say that. Denton Geyer's pretty good.
Anyway, shout out national broadcasts.
Yeah. Anyway, so Denton Geyer, you guys are rolling with the Wildcats to take home the 6A Division 2 state championship.
Yes.
They're a machine.
I saw him play Prosper.
It's no
They looked
contest.
so good.
We saw them
I mean, I
put the nail in Allen's coffin in the valley when they were on the national broadcast.
Here's my thing.
that
In
we
all
mentioned.
serious, my thing with Denton Geyer is the fact that there's a lot of times when you have an offense that's that explosive, you can find holes in other phases of their game. Hard stop. I cannot find one hole in any of the 3 phases of their game. Not one. Okay. And I just can't with an offense that's that upper echelon mixed in with 2 other phases that
they dominate in the trenches too.
I can't find a hole. I've tried to find a hole.
Yeah.
You can't.
Okay.
And that's not to say that they're not going to give Katie a run for their money, or Katie's not going to give them a run for their money. But
I like Katie.
I still think that
I like Katie. I like
fair,
Katie.
you know?
I like Katie, and here's why. I think they match up super well with them because I think if there is a weakness to Geyer, it's up front, and I think that the strength of Geyer is in their secondary and in their passing game. Well, what does Katie do well?
They run the ball.
They run the ball.
They play action.
And they hit play action, and then they are very strong in the secondary.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Katie matches up well. They've got a wizard as a head coach,
Oh,
Gary
yeah.
Joseph. I think Katie. Well, maybe we've just slept on Katie all year long. A top 5 team in the state. We've just slept on them. I think they're super good.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to win a state championship. I think that Katie's the team to beat in the 6A Division 2. We're all in lockstep in Region 1. We all like Denton Geyer. If you take a look at Region 1 of 6A Division 2, you can find the brackets at texasfootball.com/playoffs. It does feel like for Geyer, they were put on arguably the dirty side of the bracket, although I think Carroll got a better draw, but South Lake Carroll's without Caden Anderson.
Yep.
Right? That's a big deal. We all know Coppell's going to romp to victory into a state championship,
No,
6
Arlington
consecutive.
is. Screw
Oh
Coppell
my!
in Region
Oh
2.
my God! We can have
Region
Coppell
1.
and Arlington in the second round.
Yes. Amazing.
Oh my God! We got to come up with a
That's
bet.
a
I know.
sicko game.
Okay, we got to come up with a sicko.
We got to
bet.
get by Dallas Jesuit first, though.
Coppell's got to get by.
Let's knock that.
Coppell's got to get by our boy Shavers too, and I am not super confident in that. All that's to say, Geyer Highland Park in a second round is really interesting. We haven't talked a ton about Highland Park, but I really like this Highland Park team. I think that I don't know how battle tested they are recently, but I'm interested to see that matchup. South Lake Carroll's got the pedigree. Going to Division 2 helps. I just think that not having Caden Anderson at some point is that
much.
rent is going to come
You
due.
can game plan for Owen Allen. As good as he is, if that's your weapon, you can game plan for that.
And I would say, yeah, to me, I look at that and I think that Geyer's probably your favorite in Region 1. To Region 2 we go, where we're also all in lockstep. We were talking about this on the bracketology.
Claude Mathis is the happiest man in the world with the way the Division 2 broke
That
up
is the lightest. That's got to be the lightest region.
Yeah.
If DeSoto doesn't win Region 2, something has gone horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
They look like the class of Region 2.
You are looking at Harker Heights, which Rashawn Sanford,
Yeah,
excellent.
Like
right?
I like
Incredible.
Harker Heights a lot.
Outside of Jonte Cook, probably the best player in that region, that region. they're not as a team up to DeSoto. They
No.
should
No.
not be. The thing with DeSoto has been running into Duncanville, right? That's been their thing that's gotten them the past couple years. Okay, well, they're in the totally different division now. They should run. This should be a state semifinalist at the very least.
Yes, I 100% agree. I think that I think DeSoto has to be the team to beat in Region 2, and I think we're all pretty much in lockstep there. On to Region 3, we're also still in lockstep. Katy does look like the team to beat in Region 3. Now, Shadow Creek's interesting.
Yeah, they've sneakily just been unbeaten. All year.
Yeah, like nobody's talked about them, but they've been
But they're there.
unbeaten.
Hey, guys.
Shadow Creek, I like Fort Bend Hightower as well, but I'm not sure any of those teams are on the level.
You're
of Katy.
talking yourself into somebody.
Yes,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
exactly right. And
Yeah.
Katie's just right there.
Right.
If Katie gone D1, there's a different conversation. And then you get into that weird situation where it's like it's all abandoned ship in like Region 3. You're going to get some like that's how Summer Creek gets to a semifinal and stuff like that. But I think for Katie. And then we get to Region 4.
This is
in
fun.
Region 4,
This is actually the most
we all
fun
like
part of this
we all
bracket.
like Austin here.
Yep.
But we like different teams. Let's see. For Mallory, Pickle, and myself, we're going to Dripping Springs. We're going with the Austin Nova South experience. Mallory.
Yeah, I just really like Dripping Springs. I think they've done really well this season, and they have one loss on the year.
Drip.
Westlake.
Westlake.
Westlake, which is a very respectable loss, and
Sure.
they still
We'll
I
get to
think
them.
looked pretty good. Yes, they still looked pretty good. I think against Westlake, but I've been high on Austin Novosad all year. I low-key wanted him to be the. Never mind.
What's that?
Nothing. I've been really high on him all year, and give me Drip out of Region 4.
I like that. And I think, too, and this is going to go one of two ways of can you beat a good team twice? Because Drip has already beat Vandergrift, so I'm assuming that's part of your reasoning as to why you think they could get him again. But, I think that's the best player on the field. I think that I like Drip.
I think this year, not only that they beat them early it was the week 1, right? And how many teams did we have questions about in week 1 that, to me, when it comes to Vandergrift, I think this year we're looking at Vandergrift as the second best team in Austin, and that's weird saying when you know that Lake Travis is there as well. I think they've taken that step past Lake Travis, at least for this year, potentially for the next few years, because we don't know really what Lake Travis is. Obviously, they'll be fine. They'll be their Lake Travis, but obviously when you have Westlake as 1, Lake Travis hasn't been that perennial dominant number 2 that we've seen. I think Vandergrift, they're turning into what Cedar Park has been, which is
that's a good
the
call.
dominant defensive team. If they can find some little semblances of offense here and there, they'll be okay. They're gonna beat you in the trenches. They're gonna shut you down on offense.
Vandy also has the 6A experience,
Exactly,
which Drip doesn't have.
100%. So again, Dripping Springs, I think this is their best ever team. Good, obviously there's good reason to think that they will make a state semifinal. But I think Vandergrift's been there. Drew Sanders, one of the best coaches in the state. Give me the Vipers.
I think it's a coin flip game. I think if they were to play it again, it was a coin flip game the first time, right? It was a coin flip game the first time. So I
23 to
think
20.
I think that they are going to. I think it could go either way, and on a neutral site, it'll be a lot of fun. So that's 6A Division 2. 4 of y'all like Denton Geyer. I like Katy to win the state championship. You can find complete coverage of the 2022 Texas High School Football Playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. What if we stopped right there?
Just done. That's it. That's all
Yeah,
of them, right?
that's
All 11
Bye,
of them.
guys.
All 11.
I'm tired. Nope, it's time to roll out one more. It's the big boys, 6A Division 1. Let's roll out the predictions. Roll out the predictions. All right. 4 of us like Westlake to go 4 in a row.
yes,
4 of us. The 4 people in this room.
yes.
I am not without my questions about Westlake. Part of it is that it's impossible to not compare them to last year's team, which was
Or the previous 2.
or the previous 2. But I would say I think last year was
Their best.
one of the finest high school football teams I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it's impossible not to compare them because they do not have a blue chip quarterback.
Nope.
Right? But kind of everything else is back.
Right.
Like, their offensive line's unbelievable. Their
Their
defensive
defense is
front's
so good.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Their defense is so good. Now,
I
they
hate
don't
to say
have
it, they
Todd
have
Dodge.
the guy at receiver.
Yeah.
They have Jaden Greathouse. They don't
Shout
have
out Irish.
they don't have that blue chip quarterback. But they may not need it.
No.
And that's what's scary about them.
Yeah.
Now, Step thinks it's Duncanville. Step's going with Duncanville. Like, this is the year that Reginald Samples gets over the hump and they
Now,
get the championship.
I see the logic.
Yes.
Because, and we'll get to Region 3. I don't think this is the year for North Shore, and it's through unfortunate circumstances that I don't think is the year for North Shore. And that's been, of course, the Achilles heel for Duncanville is making it all the way there, being the most talented team on the field, and then just getting out-schemed and just beaten by North Shore.
Yeah.
I see his logic because I don't think North Shore will make it there this year without Caleb Bailey.
We'll get to that.
I just see West. Let's put it this way. That's my state championship matchup.
Yeah.
Right? Duncanville versus Westlake.
Uh-huh.
I have less questions about Westlake just as a overall coach team. I know it's first year head coach for Tony Salazar, but every time you just get in a street fight and those type of games, I don't know if Duncanville can scheme their way out
I was
of
going to
it.
say, even with a coach, like, you've got to think about it from a player's perspective too. They're still with a coach that has been there through the past 3 championship runs. They go to AT&T and they win. You look at Duncanville, they go to AT&T and they lose.
So I'm with you. I'm with you all the way on everything you just said. And to me, we talked about, well, this is strange. Let's call back to 3A Division 1. And I told you why I picked Edna over Lano, okay?
Yeah.
The reason I like Westlake over Duncanville is that Duncanville is reliant on just pounding you up front and dominating you up front. And I don't think they can dominate Westlake up front. I think that is a draw or maybe even a slight Westlake advantage. And so, as a result, that's why I like Westlake in a potential state championship game. Let's go to Region 1 because there's a lot to break down in Region 1. Okay. 3 of us are on Mallory and I are on Prosper. I like Prosper. I think that they're the best team out of that region. I think they proved it with their win over Allen. I think that, but it's so strange that like none of us are taking Allen here. But I think that that's a flawed team, and I think especially now with Kevion Sibley out for what feels like the foreseeable
future. I
future.
also think that Louisville poses a big threat to him
I
in
think
the very
Louisville's
first round.
In the first round, right? Exactly.
If that first round was different, maybe we would be having a different conversation.
Yeah, maybe, but Louisville could get 'em.
Louisville could do it.
But there's one other team that's getting some votes here from 2 people here.
Yeah, the 2 that have seen him in person.
But would you like to talk a little bit about the Panthers of North Crowley?
Ashley, I'll let you talk about Coach Gates' boys over there first.
This is a pure. You know what? This is naked favoritism towards a barbecue man.
Yes.
110%.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Come on, Coach.
smart. All I'm hearing is smart. No, I think this North Crowley team is exceptional in game planning against their opponent. I think Ray Gates has hit the nail on the hammer every single game they've gone into of not keeping that same scheme. We talked about it with Refugio earlier about how really good coaches are able to address their personnel and make changes to what they need to do to win the game. And I think North Crowley, I think that they have the skill players to be able to outrun people. I think they have a quarterback that can get the ball in a deep threat. I think their defense, especially in that secondary, is spectacular. But my biggest thing is I think their game planning will be able to switch. I don't think Prosper has that ability to flip a switch like that, and I think that almost like a chameleon that North Crowley can do that.
Let me tell you one other team. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, I mean, Corey, the thing for them will be their
boy.
inexperience. Yeah. Well, I'll say the thing for them will be their inexperience, right? Corey Jemerson is a sophomore quarterback, right? We saw him against Lovejoy. Looked stellar, but it's still the playoffs, and you're still a sophomore, right? Cornelius Warren's one of their running backs, also a sophomore as well. Probably I think their second running back. But of course, gotta mention my boy, Camarion Pimpton at tight end. Stellar,
unbelievable,
insane red zone threat. Probably one of the best red zone threats I've seen all year.
Huge body, unbelievable hands.
Insane, like he really is.
Someone other than Vanderbilt, go get him, please, for the love of God.
There's one other team. I'll just say this: there's one other team in Region 1 that we haven't talked a ton about, and I want to make sure we're giving them some shine because I think Arlington Martin. They have that one loss to Allen, right, in the early going, but they've been humming ever since. And
I just can't trust them in big games.
That's fair.
I feel like the big game territory, like they should be the better team, and then in big games they choke.
I also think they're kind of young too. They don't have much experience.
Maybe I want to put it out there in the universe that I think Arlington Martin is a team that could make it happen. So there you go. On to Region 2. Region 2. There's not a whole lot to say about this. This is where Duncanville lives. Now, Duncanville looks like the team to beat. I don't think there's really any doubt about that. If you want to dream on some other teams, I think there's ample reason to. I like Spring Westfield a lot. I think Spring Westfield's very dangerous. I think the winner of Waxahachie and Temple has an opportunity to make a deep run. And then you could even talk me into a team like Klein Kane or Klein Collins. I think the Klein IC is
so that matchup, that bi-district matchup between Klein Collins and Bridgeland is really fun. That's the matchup that happened last year where Connor Wigman beat them with like 10 seconds left. So that if you want a fun random ass like bi-district game, that's it.
Yeah. I think that's fair. But I think we all are in agreement that Duncanville is the team to beat in Region 2. Over to Region 3. Where we like the teams from the same district, where the three of us are going with the defending state champion Galena Park North Shore Mustangs, and two of us are going with Atascocita. Ish and Step are going with Atascocita.
Yep.
It's time to talk about the elephant in the room.
Yep.
Which is North Shore quarterback Caleb Bailey. I do not know if he's healthy. Quit asking me. I don't know. We will know, and just the way that John Kay rolls, we'll know when he walks out there.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know what his status is. With Caleb Bailey, they can win the state championship. I do not know if they can do it without them. Now,
Dave.
We talked about this. They put Touchdown Dave, David Amador, at the quarterback spot. And he's performed admirably. And I think he's growing into the role. They're not lunch meat. I think they're going to win the region. Okay? I think they're going to win the region. If they have Caleb Bailey back for a Westlake semifinal, I think they've got a great shot. But without him, I think that offense gives me pause, which I have to imagine is why you're going with the Atascocita in a rematch.
I'm going with the Atascocita in the rematch. I wonder how much that late season matchup was a feeling out period, right? Let's see what they do at quarterback, right? Atascocita saying, let's see who they throw. Is it David Amador? Is it somebody else? Okay, cool. Now they took that punch. Now, of course, I'm worried about Atascocita's ability to score on that North Shore defense, right? They still have to score themselves. But give me them in a rematch because I do wonder how much was knowing they'll see North Shore again in the playoffs. How much was Atascocita saying, let's just see what this offense looks like. Is it Wildcat with David Amador? Is it something else what they're throwing out there? Or are we going to have to, is Caleb Bailey healthy again?
Yeah.
We're going to prepare for that too. So we don't want to show them too much defensively compared to seeing them again down the line.
I mean, I took North Shore. I feel confident in that. But the one thing that I will say to, like, in agreeing with your point, which doesn't help my prediction at all, but I don't think that the issue is necessarily Touchdown Dave being at the quarterback position. I think you put him at almost any other school in the state of Texas and he could be a starting quarterback. The issue is the domino effect that fell into that of do they have the receivers? Exactly. So I don't think him being a quarterback is the
one and
issue.
a half players
exactly.
With Bailey
Yeah,
being out.
it's that half that makes it questionable.
I agree. But John Kay's a wizard. He's a wizard,
and especially in the playoffs.
That might be the finest
win.
coaching staff in the state, and that they so you doubt them at your own peril. So there, and then Westlake. We all have Westlake coming out of Region 4. I do think that again, if you pay too much attention to just Westlake, now Westlake, I think their side of the bracket, that bottom half of the bracket, they're big favorites.
Yeah.
Big favorites. The top half's interesting because you've got a couple of really fun first-round matchups, including Round Rock and Lake Travis and San Antonio Johnson and Cibolo Steel.
Yeah.
Both of which are real that kind of group of four, that quartet, they're going to play two really fun bi-district games and a really fun area round game too.
Yeah, that is a fascinating. I feel bad for my boy TP Miller. He gets Steel right out the gate.
Yeah.
That is a tough game. But again, they have a very star sophomore quarterback there, Ty Hawkins. Could absolutely get it done. We've seen heroes get made in the playoffs. This could absolutely be his moment.
We saw heroes get made in week 1. That kid was
He
phenomenal.
was so much fun to watch.
And then we got and then there's Brennan. Brennan's a team. Ashton DuBose. This is a really, really solid Brennan team. But again, all of it is like you have to get out of that region. You have to beat the final boss.
Right.
And doesn't feel like it's happening.
Yeah.
So there you have it. There is our Class 6A Division I Texas High School football predictions. You can find complete coverage of the 2022 Texas High School football playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. Now let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment, Final Thoughts.
Just a reminder here. Obviously, we've been rolling stuff out. All the brackets are out. We just did our predictions, obviously, as you've watched for an hour and 42 minutes. But regardless, more stuff coming throughout the week. Specifically, if you want a really, really in-depth breakdown of the brackets, kind of like this, but a little bit more in-depth, we will have all of our bracketology videos out on our YouTube page by Wednesday. So we're going to get started editing that and get to it. But happy playoff season, my friends.
Playoffs. We went for like an hour and 45 minutes.
Because
all
we're
right.
sickos.
That's going to do it for for us. Thanks for spending a lot of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. For Ashley Pickle, Mallory Hartley, and Ishmael Johnson, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.